What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast and we've nearly made it through this horrible week of GBL in the Scroll Cup and the Master League with the leagues rotating in just a few hours time. But before they do, I've got one final showcase submitted to the channel by Crack Street Boy, who's running a triple Shadow Watertight rollout team with Shiny Shadow Blastoise, Shadow Whalmer and Shadow Wailord. Now I want to mention these battles were done on some sort of tablet, so I've stretched the video to fit the usual overlay, so if you're wondering why it looks a bit weird, that's going to be why. Also, I received 7 entries in the end for the CMP Priority Challenge, so thank you to everyone that submitted a battle, and I'll be showcasing those battles later today, as well as announcing next week's challenge, which I think you guys are really going to enjoy, so look out for that. But with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What do you think is the best looking Shiny Shadow Pokemon that's been released so far? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle, leading Shiny Shadow Blastoise into Annihilate. So of course, Annihilate is going to resist the rollout damage, which is definitely not ideal, but we're going to overfarm here, not throwing immediately. The opponent goes for a charge move, and they actually go for a Night Slash there. No boost, so that's actually a lot better for us than a Rage Fist. We can go for the first Hydro Cannon, it's no shielded by the opponent, and we can go for a second Hydro Cannon straight away. At this point, I'd probably swap out into the Shadow Whalmer, and we do exactly that, but the opponent comes in with a Malamar. We are going to, looks like we're going to no-shield the first charge move as they go for a foul play there. We're now going to go for one extra rollout, fire off a Scald. Scald is going to connect, it does big damage, and it drops their attack as well, which means we're able to reach a Body Slam before they can farm us down. Body Slam, gonna be no-shielded, and they come in with their final Pokemon, a Toxapex. At this point, we come in with the Shadow Wailord, and we are going to commit to a Hyper Beam. The opponent is going to fire off a Charge Beam just before we get there, but that's okay. We're going to shield they bait with a Brine, but it doesn't really matter. We've got 100 energy. We're full sending the Hyper Beam. It does huge damage. It takes out the Toxapex, and they come back in with their Annihilate. Now, can this Wailord actually reach back-to-back surfs here? It's going to be close, but it looks like it's not actually going to happen. We make it to the first surf. Surf is going to be shielded by the opponent. We swap into our Blastoise, and we get a simultaneous KO, but they actually still have the Toxapex alive. I did not realize that, but Wailord able to hang on with 1 HP and a dream, get the rollout farm down, and we're able to take that game. What the heck was that first battle? That was insane. Into the next battle, we're going to see a Mana Buzz in the lead, so going to stay in with the Shiny Shadow Blastoise. Going to no-shield the first charge move here, and we are going to go straight for a Skull Bash. Skull Bash, of course, has a guaranteed chance to buff our defense by 1 stage, and it does big damage as well, so very nice. We can now no-shield the next charge move here. As the opponent goes for an Aerial Ace, we are going to overfarm in this matchup. We're now going to shield this and then just commit to a full rollout farm down. So Blastoise gets the farm down. We come out with well over 100 energy. We're going straight for Skull Bash into the Toxapex coming in. Skull Bash gonna be shielded by the Toxapex, but we are now double boosted in our defense, and that allows us to reach another Skull Bash before they can farm us down. Skull Bash number 3 connects. It does big damage to the Toxapex, and we can come in with our Shadow Whalmer. Now we're going to no-shield the first charge move as the opponent baits with a Brine, which is absolutely fine with us. We can go for a Body Slam here. Body Slam not going to do too much damage, but we are just 1 away from a second Body Slam. Throwing it immediately, this will be enough damage to take out the Toxapex, and they've got a Gastrodon in the back. So this is where things get a little bit tricky for us. Another Pokemon that is going to resist the rollout damage. We go for the Scald. Scald going to be no-shielded by the opponent, but unfortunately we do not debuff their attack. So at this point, we kind of need to call a bait. We're going to no-shield. It's just a Body Slam, huge call there, and that should now allow us to shield up the next charge move, make it to back-to-back surfs, and of course, from this range, a surf will be enough damage to get the KO. We're actually so confident that the opponent will no shield. We actually don't hit the bubbles there. Now we can full bubble it. Surf does take out the Gastrodon, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, Shiny Shadow Blastoise into Mantine. So of course, pretty good for the entire team here, as the opponent is going to be weak to the rollout damage. We're going to no-shield the first charge move here, and the opponent is going to go for another Aerial Ace. We can now go and full send a Skull Bash once again, and even if it's shielded, it doesn't really matter as it boosts up our defense, which should allow us to reach another Skull Bash before they can throw a charge move and farm us down. So at this point, they go for another aerial ace there, and the opponent actually swaps out into Annihilate, and really good read on our end, knowing that they would swap, so we just go straight for Hydro Cannon there. Huge play. We're now going to come in with the Shadow Whale, unfortunately losing CMP in this matchup, but that's okay. The opponent is going to fire for Charge Beef there. We can go straight for Scald. Scald will be enough damage to get the KO, but they actually use their final shield there. We debuff their attack, which only gives them more energy as they farm us down, as we're just barely not able to reach a Body Slam. We're now going to come in with the Shadow Wailord, and at this point we're going to have to shield a Charge Beef here, and I think we're just going to go straight for a Surf as soon as we get there. Just get rid of this Annihilate because we can't farm them down very comfortably. Surf gets the KO. They come in with a Gastrodon, and the opponent's going to swap back into their Mantine. So at this point, we're going to have to shield the Wailord. We need to overfarm as much as we can, but we can't get too low here, as we do still need to reach a Hyper Beam up against the Gastrodon. We go for Surf. Surf gets the KO there, but we're just barely not able to reach a Hyper Beam in time, and unfortunately, that's going to be game over, so we just concede the match. Into next battle, another Mantine in the lead though, so probably going to play this out exactly the same as the previous time here. Going to no-shield all the Charge Beams and just go straight for a Skull Bash. The opponent actually goes for a Bubble Beam there, which is a little bit annoying, but it doesn't do much damage at all, so it's not too bad. We still do huge damage with the Skull Bash, and we will still be able to go for a full rollout farm down. So the opponent goes for the aerial ace this time around, fine with us, and if anything, that Bubble Beam gave us more energy. They're now going to come in, and we're going to go straight for a Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon is going to be no-shielded by the Sableye, and we've already got another Hydro Cannon loaded. So Hydro Cannon number 2, going to be shielded this time around. We swap into our Shadow Whalmer, and we are going to no-shield the first Charge Beef, as the opponent is going to go for a foul play. We can now overfarm, but the opponent already at another Charge Beef. At this point, we might as well just keep on farming, because we will put them into Body Slam range here, despite the fact that it's non-stab and it is double resisted. Body Slam actually grabs a shield from the opponent. We can fire off a second Body Slam here. Body Slam does get the KO up against the Sableye, and they come in with their final Pokemon, a Water Gun Quagsire, which is very interesting. We're going to shield the first Charge Beef here with our Wailord. The opponent goes for a Mud Bomb there. We are absolutely committing to the Hyper Beam, and we get there in time. And does a Hyper Beam from Shadow Wailord get the one shot? Yes, it does. It takes out the Quagsire, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, we see a Feraligatr in the lead, so we are going to stay in this matchup here, and the opponent's actually on Ice Fang, which is very interesting, maybe targeting the very annoying Mandibuzz in this meta, but they're going to swap into Lucario. Not really ideal for us, as Lucario is double resistant to the rollout damage, but we can reach back-to-back Hydro Cannons. Hydro Cannon number 2, going to grab the final shield from the opponent already. We come in with the Whalmer. We're calling a bait here, but it's a Thunder Punch that does big damage, and we don't even reach a Body Slam, which is definitely not ideal for us. We're going to come back in with the Blastoise. It looks like we will still reach a Hydro Cannon anyway, so it's not the worst thing ever, but of course we just fully sacrificed our Whalmer for pretty much no reason at all. But we take out Lucario, they come back in with the Feraligatr, and we're able to reach a Hydro Cannon before they can farm us down. Hydro Cannon, of course, gonna connect there. It's resisted damage, but that's okay. We're going to come in with the Wailord, and we are going to no-shield the first Charge Move there, and it looks like if we try to commit to a full farm down here, for shield this Charge Move, commit to the farm down up against Feraligatr, we are going to get that farm down, and we are just going straight for the Hyper Beam. They've got a Gyarados in the back, and Hyper Beam again one-shots the Gyarados from full health, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, we see Shadow Blastoise into a Toxapex. So again, probably just going to stay in against a lot of these water types. We're just going straight Skull Bash in this matchup, and we will actually get to a Skull Bash before the opponent makes it to a Gunk Shot. So of course, Skull Bash is going to connect. It boosts up the defense there. Sorry, Sludge Wave, not Gunk Shot. We are going to shield, and the opponent does full send the Sludge Wave there. And now at this point, we are going to commit to another Skull Bash here. Might as well boost up our defense a second time. Skull Bash, number 2, is going to be shielded this time around. We're double boosted in the defense. They have to go for that Sludge Wave, and they do. They full send it. They do take us out there, but that's okay. We can come in with the Whalmer. We're going to overfarm just slightly. Fire off the Body Slam here. Body Slam is enough damage to get the KO, and they come in with a Barbaracle, so very interesting pick on the opponent's end. We go straight for Scald, dealing big damage. And at this point, we probably just let the Whalmer go down. Yeah, the opponent is going to go for a Grass Knot there. We can come in with the Wailord. If they make it to a charge, we probably have to shield, but they don't get there. And they've got a Charm Liepard in the bag. We're going straight for Surf. Surf is going to get the final shield from the opponent. We're committing to the Hyper Beam. We're actually not going to get there. We have to settle for a Surf. But but Surf is still enough damage to take out the Lipard, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, we see a Sableye in the lead. So, of course, once again, just going to stay in with the Blastoise. This time, since, of course, they are going to double resist the Skull Bash, we will just be going straight for the Hydro Cannons in this matchup. The opponent fires off the foul play there. We're going to go for one rollout, throwing on good timing, going for the Hydro Cannon, grabbing a shield from the Sableye, and unfortunately, we will lose CMP in this matchup, but that's okay. We're going to use a shield here, match shields from the Sableye, and go for the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon is going to connect this time. The opponent no shields. We can come in, snipe with the Whalmer. It doesn't really matter too much about switch advantage because we got three of essentially the same Pokemon, and so the opponent's going to come in with a Shiftry, definitely not ideal, and they do throw on CMP, so a good play by the opponent, but they're on Leaf Tornado and not Leaf Blade, which means they're going to be slower to the charge moves, and if they don't get any attack debuffs there, then actually we might just be able to go for a full rollout farm down. So we're going to shoot out the next charge move. They don't get the debuff, and now we're going to swap into our Shadow Blastoise, force the opponent to throw a charge move, otherwise we would have got the farm down there. We can come back in with the Wailord, and let's see what they've got in the back. They've got Annihilate, and unfortunately, I just don't think we're going to be able to win this game. Surf is going to do decent damage here, but Rollout, of course, is resisted damage, and Surf just not getting enough damage to get the KO here. It does do very respectable damage, but the opponent able to reach a charge move, and of course, from this range, Rage Fist takes us out there, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But into the next battle, we see a Shadow Quagsire in the lead. So we are going to stay in with the Blastoise. The opponent actually safe swaps into a Golisopod, which is fine with us. We are going to no-shield the first charge move. They go straight for Exeter there. We are going to now over-farm as much as possible. We actually farm up to the Skull Bash, but we bait with a Hydro Cannon. The opponent no shields, and I don't mind this play at all. Now just swapping into our Whalmer. They're not going to reach two more charge moves here, so we can go for the rollout farm down. We've banked a Hydro Cannon on the Blastoise, and they come back in with their Quagsire. We go straight for Scald. Scald is going to connect. No attack debuff this time around, but that's okay. At this point, we are going to actually shield at the last second. Now we can go for one rollout, fire off a Body Slam. Body Slam will be enough damage to get the KO from this range. And their final Pokemon is going to be a Mantine. And at this point, it's looking like it's game over for the opponent. We've got three Pokemon that are, of course, running Rollout. We're going to resist the harder hitting charge move from the Mantine as well. So they're stuck going for Aerial Aces. And yeah, this game is absolutely over. We can just no-shield the first charge move. The opponent goes to the Aerial Ace there, not doing too much damage. We can go for one rollout, fire off a Surf here. Surf is going to grab the first shield from the opponent, and we're already at a second Surf. Surf needs to be shielded, otherwise we can just rollout farm them down, but we've already got a Hydro Cannon loaded on the Blastoise in the back. We're actually going to shield here. Doesn't really make a difference. We can come in with the Blastoise, go straight for the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon gets the KO up against the Mantine, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, see a Mandibuzz in the lead. So once again, just going to stay in this matchup here. And it looks like, again, we are committing to go and full send a Skull Bash. We're going to no-shield the first charge move. Again, just an Aerial Ace there. Fine with us. No, never mind. This time, we're actually going to go for a Hydro Cannon here. Hydro Cannon is going to do big damage. And a second Hydro Cannon looks like will just barely get the KO or put them into one rollout farm down range. It actually does take them out. They come in with a Greninja. We're going straight for Hydro Cannon once again. Hydro Cannon is, of course, resisted, but we grab a shield anyways, as Greninja is a very classy Pokemon. At this point, yeah, I was thinking we might as well just shield this up here, as we can just guarantee another Hydro Cannon landing. Hydro Cannon is going to do big damage there up against the Greninja, so they use their final shield. We can now come in with our Whalmer. We are going to no-shield the first charge move. They're at back-to-back charge moves here. We should still just barely live this and be able to get off a charge move as well. So we go for the Body Slam. Body Slam from this range takes out Greninja, but they've got a Machamp in the back, so they get the counter farm down there. We can come in with the Wailord, and because they're on counter here, a little bit slower to generate energy in recent seasons, we can shield this up, and we can absolutely full send a Hyper Beam up against this shiny Machamp, and of course, Hyper Beam once again gets the one shot there, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, we see Shadow Blastoise into Lantern. So this is definitely not ideal for us, but we're going to stay in with the Blastoise and presumably once again just go straight for a Skull Bash here. The Skull Bash is really going to help us out in this matchup. The Skull Bash is going to do big damage up against the Lantern. And this one, you probably just let the Blastoise go down. Yeah, we're going to let it go down here. We should be able to come in with our Whalmer and go for a full rollout farm down. Now, the opponent probably will reach another Thunderbolt, so I'm going to shield here. It is a Thunderbolt, but that's okay. Now we can go for a full farm down, and hopefully that is their best best answer to water types, and they come in with a fighting type of some kind. Don't really know what that was. It's going to be a Surf Fetch, so we go straight for Scald. The opponent then makes a really nice catch there, catching the next Scald onto their Azumarill. No debuff once again, which is very unfortunate, but we're going to bank a Scald before swapping into our Shadow Wailord. At this point, going to no-shield the first charge move as the opponent goes for a play rough, dealing big damage, but Wailord is going to be able to reach a Hyper Beam in time. So Hyper Beam is going to be shielded by the Azumarill, and at this point, we probably have to let this move go through. So no shield, the opponent actually undercharges that, snipes with the Surf Fetch. We go for one Rollout. I think we needed to throw immediately there because we cannot take the counter damage. Scald does get the KO, but we are just too low now. At this point, they're just going to be able to very easily take us out with a few bubbles. And unfortunately, Body Slam doesn't quite do enough damage to get the KO there, so we do end up losing that game. But into the next battle, Blastoise into another Mana Buzz. So once again, just going to stay in this lead matchup here. And the opponent's actually going to swap into a Toxapex. So we're going straight for Skull Bash. Skull Bash, of course, going to boost up the defense. We actually grab a shield with the first one. We're actually quite far ahead on energy since they did swap out after quite a while, so we can no-shield the opponent base with a Brine. Huge call for us there, as that does hardly any damage whatsoever. We can now go for another Skull Bash, dealing big damage, and we can even reach a Hydro Cannon before they reach a Sludge Wave. So Hydro Cannon is going to be shielded by the opponent using both their shields, and this might definitely just let the Blastoise go down. Blastoise has absolutely put in work for this battle. We can now come in with the Shadow Whalmer, and we are going to commit to a full rollout farm down before they can reach a charge move. The opponent is going to come back in with the Mana Buzz. We're going straight for Scald here. Scald, of course, going to connect. All shields are down, and it does not debuff their attack once again, but that's okay. We are going to no-shield this. The opponent goes for a Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse does big damage, but we can go for a second Scald immediately, and Scald from this range takes out the Mana Buzz. We swap instantly into our Shadow Wailord. We got a 2-0 shield advantage. This game is absolutely over. All we have to do is shield up the charge, which they do bait with an Ice Beam, but it doesn't really matter at this point. We can full send the Hyper Beam. Hyper Beam is going to do huge damage there. Unfortunately, not quite enough damage to get the KO. But we can just safely shield once again, go for a rollout farm down here, and we will be able to very easily take out Azumarill and take that game. So go into possibly the final battle of this video, leading into another Annihilate. So we're going to stay in this matchup here with the Blastoise. We are going to probably no shield once again, and the opponent is going to go straight for the Rage Fist there. Or maybe that was another Night Slash. I actually can't tell. I don't think they got the boost, so it probably was Night Slash. But either way, we can fire off back-to-back Hydro Cannons. The opponent actually going to shield the first one, and the opponent's going to double shield their Annihilate. So forced to swap out there, otherwise they would just go for a full counter farm down. We're going to shield the next charge move, as the opponent is going to go for a Shadow Ball, I believe that was, which means we can now massively overfarm, fire off a Scald here. Scald from this range does get the KO up against the Annihilate, but they come in with a Lantern, so definitely not ideal for us. But we are so far ahead on energy. We can fire for Body Slam. Body Slam, we're actually able to reach a Scald. We probably should have gone for the Scald there, but we can go for Body Slam number 2, and now we can actually swap out of that matchup into our Shadow Wailord. So definitely going to shield here, as the opponent full sends the Thunderbolt before swapping into a Mana Buzz. And we are absolutely full sending the Hyper Beam right now. All shields are down once again. Hyper Beam does huge damage there, and that puts them into perfect rollout farm down range. The opponent is going to full send a Dark Pulse, but that's not enough damage to get the KO. And at this point, we try to commit to a Hyper Beam here, but realize actually they're probably in range where a Surf will be taking out the Lantern, and we're able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.